Hello and welcome. Let's start with the third tense, which is future tense. Let us start with the introduction. Future tense is used to express or indicate something that hasn't happened at the time of writing or speaking, but may occur in the future. There are four types of future tenses. The first one is simple future, second is future continuous, third is future perfect, and the fourth is future perfect continuous tense. Let us start with the first aspect, which is simple future tense. This tense is used for those sentences which express the action which will happen later in the future. This requires an additional verb even though the verb would be unmarked. Simple future tense commonly constructed with the use of words will and shall. For example, we shall be there by noon. The simple future tense is tense that is used when an activity is expected to occur in the future and be completed. For example, let's assume you have a meeting tomorrow at 3 o'clock. Example is, I will reach at 3 o'clock. Here you can see, I will reach is the simple future tense of the verb to reach. You reach once, beyond that you can't keep on reaching. To formulate the simple future tense, the formula is will plus original form of the verb plus object. For example, I will learn a new skill. Whether the subject is singular or plural, formula used for the simple future tense formulation doesn't change. But there's another way to describe that something will happen in the future. It follows the formula am, is, are plus going to plus original form of the verb. For example, I am going to learn a new course. Example 2. Jen is going to read the novel. Also, please note that in speech and casual writing, the going to construction is common. However, it's on informal side. So it's better to stick to the will plus original form of the verb construction in formal writing. Now let us see the formation of sentences in the simple future tense. The first one is affirmative sentences. For affirmative sentences, the structure is subject plus will plus verb in the original form plus object. Example for singular, she will dance tomorrow. Example for plural, all the girls will take part in dancing classes tomorrow. For negative sentences, the structure is subject plus will plus not plus verb in the original form plus object. Example for singular, she will not dance tomorrow. Example for plural, all the girls will not take part in dancing classes tomorrow. For interrogative sentences, the structure is will plus subject plus verb in the original form plus object. Example for singular, will she dance tomorrow? Example for plural, will all the girls take part in dancing classes tomorrow? Now here you can see two tables. The first table shows you some common regular verbs in simple future tense. And the table below it showing you the construction of sentences using going to. Please go through both the tables. The second aspect of future tense is future continuous tense. This tense is used for those sentences which express the actions which will happen later in future. This requires an additional verb even though the verb would be unmarked. This tense describes those activities which will be continued in future at a point in time. In order to construct a future continuous tense sentence, a future addition verb is needed followed by the main verb that ends with ing. The future continuous tense, sometimes also called as the future progressive tense, is a verb tense that describes something that will start in the future and continue for an expected length of time. Please note that it is important that the future continuous tense is only applied with action verbs because it is possible to do them for a duration. Action verbs determines activities like thinking, running, and seeing. Stative verbs determine state of existence like being, seeming, and knowing are not used in future continuous tense. Now look at the example for better understanding. Example 1. After I study, I will be knowing all the answers for the exam paper. This is incorrect. The correct sentence is after I study, I will know all the answers for the exam paper. Example 2. I will be stressed tomorrow during my maths test. This is incorrect. The correct sentence is I will be stressed tomorrow during my maths test. To formulate future continuous tense, the formula is will plus be plus verb with ing. For affirmative sentences, the structure is subject plus will or shall plus be plus verb with ing plus object. Example for singular, he will be going to Bangalore next week. Example for plural, they will be celebrating her birthday on coming Sunday. Structure for negative sentences, subject plus will not plus be plus verb with ing plus object. Example for singular, he will not be going to Bangalore next week. Example for plural, they will not be celebrating her birthday on coming Sunday. For interrogative sentences, the structure is will plus subject plus be plus verb with ing plus object. Example for singular, will he be going to Bangalore next week? Example for plural, will they be celebrating her birthday on coming Sunday? Now let us see the third aspect, which is future perfect tense. The future perfect tense is used for activities that will be completed before some other point in the future. For example, the show will have ended by the time Tom gets out of bed. Example 2. At 7 o'clock, I will have left. The future perfect tense is used for describing an action that will be completed between now and some point in the future. For example, imagine that your friend Lena asks you to take care of her dog for some days while she goes on a trip. She told you to come over today at noon so she can show you where to find the dog food, but you are busy. So you ask Lena if you can come at 7 o'clock tonight instead. She says, no, That will not work. At 7 o'clock, I will have left already. Here you can see what does the future perfect tells us here. It tells us that Lena is going to leave for her trip sometime after right now, but before a particular point in the future, that is 7 o'clock tonight. She perhaps shouldn't have waited until the last minute to find a dog sitter. This tense is used to describe an action that is supposed to be finished within a certain span of time in the future. When to use the future perfect tense? Sometimes we can use the future perfect tense and simple future tense interchangeably. In these two sentences, there is no actual difference in meaning because the word before constructs the sequence of events clear. Lena will leave before you get there. Lena will have left before you get there. But without prepositions such as before or by the time that construct the sequence of events clear. You require to use the future perfect to describe what happened first. For example, at 7 o'clock, Lena will leave. This means that Lena will wait until 7 o'clock to leave. At 7 o'clock, Lena will have left. This means Lena will leave today before 7 o'clock. When not to use the future perfect tense. The future perfect tense is used only for activities that will be completed before a certain point in the future. In other manner, we can say that action you are talking about must have a deadline. Use the simple future tense instead of future perfect tense if there is a deadline not mentioned. For example, Linda will have left. This is incorrect. The correct sentence is Linda will leave. The deadline can be very certain, 7 o'clock, or it can be indefinite, like next week. It can even depend on when something else occurs after the show ends. It just has to be sometime in the future. To formulate future perfect tense are constructed by will plus have plus verb in past participle. The structure for affirmative sentences is subject plus will plus have plus verb in past participle plus object. Example for singular, Seema will have gone by the time we reach her home. Example for plural, they will have gone by the time we reach her home. Structure for negative sentences is subject plus will plus not plus have plus verb in the past participle plus object. Example for singular, Seema will not have gone by the time we reach her home. Example for plural, they will not have gone by the time we reach her home. Structure for interrogative sentences is will plus subject plus have plus verb in the past participle plus object. Example for singular, will Seema have gone by the time we reach her home? Example for plural, will they have gone by the time we reach her home? Look here for some common verb in the future perfect tense. The first table shows some regular verb and below is the table showing irregular verb. Please go through the table. Moving towards the fourth and the last aspect of future tense, which is future perfect continuous tense. The future perfect continuous tense is a tense which is used to indicate actions that will continue up until a point in the future. This tense form describes an action that is continuous and at some point in the future it will be completed. When we express an action in the future perfect continuous tense, we are predicting ourselves forward in time and looking back at the duration of that action. The action will have started sometime in the past, present, or in the future and is supposed to continue in the future. For example, in March, I will have been working at my company for 2 years. Please note that non-action verbs like to be, to know, or to seem are not used in the future perfect continuous tense. Alternately, these verbs take the future perfect tense, which is constructed with will plus have plus past participle. For example, let us see the first sentence. On Monday, I will have been knowing you for a week. This sentence is incorrect. Let us look at the correct sentence. On Monday, I will have known you for a week. To formulate future perfect continuous tense, the formula is will plus have been plus the verb's present participle with ing. The structure for affirmative sentences is subject plus will plus have been plus verb with ing plus object. Example for singular, Seema will have been studying English for 2 hours by the time you arrive here. Example for plural, they will have been playing cricket since morning at this time tomorrow. Structure for negative sentences is subject plus will plus not plus have been plus verb with ing plus object. Example for singular, Seema will not have been studying English for 2 hours by the time you arrive here. Example for plural, they will not have been playing cricket since morning at this time tomorrow. Structure for interrogative sentences is will plus subject plus have been plus verb with ing plus object. Example for singular, will Seema have been studying English for 2 hours by the time you arrive here? Example for plural, will they have been playing cricket since morning at this time tomorrow? With this, we conclude our future tense. Thank you for watching.